What is going on, everybody? Another episode of 4x4 Camping Adventures. Let me guess, you jumped on this video because you just bought one of these. Y62 Patrol, maybe a Series 5, maybe Series 4, 3, 2, 1, who knows? But you've just bought one and it's probably not looking like this, but it's looking a little bit more stock. And you're thinking to yourself, I just dropped that sort of 80, 90 grand on the car, but want to take it forward driving, take it down the beach occasionally. Whatever your situation is, this is the video for you. So this is my top 5 mods to a stock Y62 Patrol you should do. So let's get into it. So you're probably thinking to yourself, what's his number 1 going to be? Well, I have modified this car from start to finish and pretty much gone for everything, right? Now, my number 1 is probably going to be something that I should have done earlier on in the piece, but I wanted to sort of test out the stock factory item that come with the Patrol, and that's the tyres. So you get some, pretty sure they're Bridgestones, they're all-terrain, very, very basic tyre. Pretty susceptible for, cuts and all that kind of stuff because they're not very strong on the sidewall. So I suppose to my first mod is chuck some bigger tyres on there and put some stronger rubber. Now, luckily with a Patrol, you can fit a 35 inch or a 34.3 or whatever the sizing is in the old money on a stock lift. So you can fit some pretty big tyres on these things with the stock bumper and all that kind of stuff. So there's a few little mods you've got to do with the mud guards, but there's plenty of videos about that. But I'm not going to get into like how to install them, but you can put some bigger rubber on these cars. And they do look a lot nicer with some bigger rubber as well. They don't look like such a roller skate from factory. But I'm not going to say which tyres to go for. Like these are the Razor ATs. I'm sort of 50-50 on them. They're okay. But I've already had one nick out on me, so I'm a little bit sort of 50-50 on them at the moment. But whatever your tyre is, get a nice all-terrain, get a nice mud terrain, whatever takes your fancy. But my first thing is put some bigger tyres on it, put some bigger rubber. You're going to get a little bit more clearance as well with the increased height. So if you do go down the beach or something like that, you've got a little bit more clearance going through the sand and that kind of stuff. But yeah, number 1, put some bigger tyres on it. Get something that's actually going to handle a little bit of abuse out there and about. And yeah, put some 35s on the big girl. Let's get to number 2. Welcome to the interior. So, number 2 is more about protecting the asset you just bought. You just dropped 90 grand or whatever you spent on your Y62. So, it's got this beautiful leather interior. Ignore the dash. But it's got this beautiful leather interior. The leather is really nice. But when you go forward driving, leather forward driving don't really mix that well. Let me elaborate. So, if you're going to go proper forward driving like I do, go through mud and all that kind of stuff, you're going to get mud in here, right? It's a non-negotiable. It's just going to happen. Now, that might mean you got mud on your boots, you got mud on your pants, whatever. That's going to then get on your seat, get on your floor mats, all that kind of stuff. So, for me, one of the first things I did was put some seat covers on. I'm not sponsored by Razorback. I bought these. They're about, I don't know, $300 or something like that. But they fit really well, and I've had them on there for a long time, but they've been really well so far. You can chuck them in the wash and all that kind of stuff, but it's protecting that leather underneath, and at least I know when it comes time to sell or whatever the situation is down the road, my chairs aren't going to be absolutely stuffed. Same goes with a sort of a 2-part. Get some really nice floor mats. The carpet ones that come with the car, absolutely useless. They will just eat mud up, and you're just going to destroy them in your first trip. Even the beach, they really love sucking in all that sand, especially that fine powder sand that you get in South WA or even over east in like Fraser Islands and that. So I got some, they're called a 3D Max Track. They're a floor cover. You can get them from pretty much any automotive shop. They're about $200 for the set. I got the set of 3, but you can't buy a set of 2 because these are a 7-seater. But they clip in perfectly. They're molded to the shape of the car, and it takes away any of that dirt getting into your carpet. So definitely something recommended for these cars. Don't cheap out on seat covers. These have got side impact airbags and all that kind of stuff, and they need to be stitched in properly so the airbags can all work with the if you do have an event of having a crash. Another thing I recommend is putting a protector on this guy here, because you can wear that out pretty quickly. I'm going to get a same protector as this for your center console cover, because they're susceptible to like sunscreen, all that kind of stuff that you rub on and that's on your skin. It can go straight into that leather and it starts looking pretty hairy going pretty quickly. So yeah, some seat protectors and some floor mats will get you into your second mod and protect your whole interior, which would be really good for longevity of the car. But let's go to number 3. All right, so mod number 3. You now own a Y62 Patrol, and it comes with probably one of the best V8s in the last sort of 10 years to be put into a car. So do you really want that exhaust sounding like a Dyson vacuum cleaner, or do you want it sounding like this? So if you want the second one, my third mod is really get yourself a really nice clean catback exhaust system. Be very careful how you put an exhaust on these cars, because they can get that real thong slap sound if you start taking too many mufflers out and that kind of stuff. They do need a couple of mufflers in there to give it that proper rumble. And obviously if you want to take it a bit further, you can put extractors and all that kind of stuff on, but that's a fairly bigger expense than just a generic catback system. Myself, I went with a pacemaker. It's a King Brown system. The reason I went with pacemaker is that it's an Australian company. They've been doing exhaust for God knows how long, forever, and I just really like the sound of it. And my mechanic Reese from Southwest Mechanical, he had a pacemaker in his car. I liked the sound of that, so it was just an easy deal for me. Not sponsored, I paid for it. There was about, I think about $1,300 for a pacemaker exhaust, but you can get all different brands. You can get Torque, you can get Manta, all those brands do an exhaust system for this car. There's different ways you could do it. You can have no rear muffler to make it really loud and annoy the neighbours, or you can have a full system like I have and just get that nice burble. At 110, there's not much drone with this system, which is the why I went with this system in the first place. I just didn't want that drone at 110. Cruising at 110, the last thing you want is a in the background. So yeah, that's why I went the pacemaker system. But really happy with it, but it's a V8. Make it sound like a V8. Don't go driving around with the old vacuum cleaner in the back of your car. And live that Y62 lifestyle of annoying everyone on the road. But let's get to, what is it? Mod number 4. And yeah, we'll keep moving. Okay, so mod number 4 is probably a little bit more personal than a recommendation for everybody. But you can do this in many ways. You don't have to go all the way out like I have, right? So the way I've done it is have a full camping setup in the back of my car. Now the reason I did this is I go camping a lot. Now, as I said, you don't need to destroy your whole rear end with this. This is obviously overkill and the higher level of doing things, but you can get a very, very basic setup for these cars and still use the back as a normal vehicle. But just get yourself a nice table, somewhere to cook on, some drawers, a fridge of some type, and you're pretty much ready to go camping anywhere with these cars. They're very, very, especially the rear is huge. There's so much space you can play with. You can do different setups. You can have second tables coming out. There's a lot of things you can do with these cars. But I still recommend a simple or crazy drawer system like myself. But get yourself something just to make it a little bit easier to go camping. Because if you are going to go camping or even a day down the beach, having a fridge and drawers and all that kind of stuff in the back does make a big, big difference. Just to cook some sausages on the gas cooktop, or do whatever, make some sandwiches. It definitely makes a big, big difference. But yeah, tip number 4 is just get some kind of really neat drawer system in the back of your car. As I said, doesn't have to be crazy as this, but do something that makes it a little bit easier for when you do go camping. And let's go to number 5. Tip number 5 is probably the most important, I suppose, if you're going to go off-road in a way. It's not the bull bar, it's not anything on the front here, it's not the snorkel, it's the bash plates underneath. So these bash plates you get from factory cars these days are pretty basic. They're about 2 mil thin. They're not going to handle anything you do off-road. I can guarantee it, because I have smashed a factory bash plate many a times. And there is a lot of stuff on these cars, especially between the radiator and your gearbox, that can be essentially destroying the motor. So between there, you've got the oil pan, which I've accidentally touched a couple of times when I've been off-road, realizing, well, at that point, not realizing I needed a bash plate there. I thought it was all tucked in, but here we are. And there's filters. There's a lot of stuff under there that you can damage. So get yourself. I've got a rival just in between bash plate, because I have the Rhino bull bar, and that comes with its own sort of alloy, factory front end bash plate. But I needed something in between, and most kits that you buy is the whole thing. So I didn't need the whole thing, so I just got the rival one, which is the radiator to gearbox mount, and that is protecting everything now. So I'm not overly stressed about, you know, bashing things. Personally, you can get gearbox bash plates and all that kind of stuff, but I've never touched it. And yeah, the forward driving I think you're doing in this car, if you're just going to be a touring sort of style of forward driving, I'd just get that one area protected and obviously your radiator, and I wouldn't stress about anything else. If you're going to do hardcore stuff, get the whole lot. But for your average day-to-day person, just protect that area, because yeah, you can literally stop the car on the side of the track. Because if you hit a rock on the right angle with your oil pan, you're going to drop oil on the track. It's game over. You're going to need a tow truck to get yourself out of there. So yeah, be smart, don't be like me, and protect that area, and then you won't need a new oil pan. But that is tip number 5. Hopefully you've got something out of this video. I do appreciate you watching. As always, like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And look, if you chuck a comment down below of your top 5 tips of a brand new forward drive or a brand new Y62, or you own a Y62, what's the first 5 things you did to it? But I'd really love to read your comments, and I generally, you know, reply to all of them. So yeah, chuck a comment down below and I'll read them. But as always, thank you for watching. This has been another episode of 4x4 Camping Adventures. If I don't see you out there on the tracks and trails, I might see you in the next video. And look, if I don't see you in the next video, that's okay. I'll see you later, and have a great day. See ya.